Hi everyone. My name is Arnav Devan. I graduated from IIT Mumbai last year in 2020 in chemical engineering. I gave CAT 2020 and I secured 99.68 percentile this time. I will be joining IIM Calcutta this year. Basically, when I prepared for CAT, the one thing that has to be distinguished is hard work from smart work. So with the limited time that one has to optimize and one has to look at the cost benefit of attempting say certain sections and leaving certain things out. So for example, in VARC, because RC occupies 24 questions out of the 34 questions, so RC was my priority than VA. So maximizing the attempt in RC and maximizing my score in RC, for example, was my one priority. So like this, whether it be Quant, whether it be DILR, that has been my priority. So example, in DILR, I always used to go for LR before I used to go for DI. And similarly in Quant, because probability is something that I find that is weak, that I don't like much. So I would always skip probability for and keep it for the end. So that's pretty much my strategy as the overall exam is concerned. Being an engineer, Quant was something that I was fairly confident in that, and it was fairly easy for me. So honestly, I relied solely on the test series which I had joined at that time, and the most important part in that is the analysis part of the test series. So what people do is like what I have seen people do is that they attempt hundreds and hundreds of tests. So what are they doing at that time is that they are just reinforcing the concepts that they already know, and they're not learning new concepts. So the learning part of the new concepts comes from the analysis of the test. So for example, if you're giving a sectional of a quant of any, whether it be VARC, DILR, or quant as such, if you're giving a 1 hour section, you should spend at least 1 hour or even more to analyze where were you wrong, and even in questions which took you a lot of time, like what were the steps that you could have skipped, or what was an altogether different solution that you could have approached or a different way through which you could have attempted that particular question. VARC was the one thing that is considered that being an engineer, VARC will be one of the toughest things that you are going to do. But somehow my VARC was really, I secured a pretty nice percentile in that also. The only thing that I'll attribute that is my habit of reading newspaper daily. So I have interacted with many people, and they tell me that they used to read articles online. But I just do not like that approach, because see, when you're online, you will read articles which interests you. For example, if I have an interest in economics, I'm going to read articles pertaining to economic policy, the monetary policy committee, or something like that. But in CAT, there can be an article on, there can be a passage on economics, but the next passage will be on society. Then the next passage can be on, philosophy. So that variety, so the mind has to adapt to go from philosophy to economics to international to even society. So for that, reading the newspaper end to end, that trains your mind to go from one type of passage to another. Because in a newspaper, if you read on a daily basis, you're going to find articles of culture and history. You're going to find articles of the various Supreme Court judgments, for example. You're going to find articles of international relations, society, and the plethora of other things. If you are following that, I believe you can skip the sports section or the regional section, but it totally depends upon the amount of time you have available in your hand. So according to that, just go through that. But I would always recommend to read the editorials, the page 6 and 7 generally of the newspaper. Well, verbal ability was one of the few things that so in my cost benefit analysis, it wasn't a big priority. So I believe that attempting the mock exams, the mock papers, whether it be a full 3 hour long test or even the sectional tests, which are there, which are available by many coaching institutes as such, is pretty good. And I believe when you're reading newspaper, so you are developing your vocabulary altogether. So if you read good quality news, for example, I prefer Hindu. People like Indian Express also. So newspapers like this have good quality of English in them. So if you go with that, so I think verbal ability is something that will prepare automatically. one should understand that why VARC section is there in CAT. So RC specifically, and you'll see that RC is 24 question out of 34. That's around 66% and even more than 66%. So that's there because they want to prepare you. They want to check whether you have the ability to comprehend the case studies which are there in the MBA colleges. So as I've heard from my seniors and many of my batchmates who are there in MBA colleges, that case studies form a very integral and the basic part of the MBA education. So they want to check that ability, that do you have that ability and how much have you developed that ability basically. So that's why I focus on that. And case studies range from, say, one day you're learning about Coca-Cola's case study, the next day you're learning about some big finance company, the next day you're learning about Lehman Brothers or anything like that. So that's why diversity matters a lot in reading articles. Fortunately or unfortunately, I had this lot 3 DILR and that was very difficult. I did not I did not score as much I would have wanted. But anyways, I think that DILR, so see, DILR is basically two things, the data interpretation and the logical reasoning. So my strategy in that has always been, because I find logical reasoning to be better because of the puzzle aspect in that. I always used to go with the logical reasoning. However, the best way to go about is that you need to spend the first 5 minutes of the exam, going through each and every question, just skimming over it and just looking at which questions are something that you can attempt very easily. Because obviously you would have practiced beforehand. So you need to first go with that, because trust me, even if you are able to, out of the 8 passages, if you are even able to solve 4 passages, you are through. You do not require anything more than that. So what one should do is first go about that 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes are very, very crucial, honestly. So just go about that, look at all the passages and see which are easy, so that at least 2-3 you can solve like that. Then DI has the best. So the one of the most important things is that you need to read the question very, very carefully, because sometimes they ask something else and you start finding all the different kinds of data, all the different kinds of permutations and combinations of things that you can find from the data which is given. That has to be avoided, because see, CAT is not an exam that CAT is an exam that anyone can do. It's just the time crunch which comes that segregates the 99.99 percentile person and the 90 percentile person. So if you even give a 30 percentile person the CAT exam, he's going to do that in a day. The CAT is not difficult at all. It's just that you have to manage that time properly. So you need to be very focused as to what you need to find in DIR especially, and you need to go about that. And the other thing that helped a lot in LR section was probably the analysis of the papers that I used to give. So in questions like, for example, there are 6 cars, 6 people, 6 different colors, 6 different cities. So there are multiple ways to go about that question. Now you need to find the best way that you can arrive at the solution. So the same question can be solved in 10 minutes and it can be solved in 3 minutes. Now obviously you need to go with the 3-minute path, and that will come only through practice and analyzing post the practice. So that's pretty much what I did in DILR. So definitely. So right now, as I'm interacting with my batchmates, I find that many of them are students who are from commerce backgrounds, arts backgrounds, and many different kinds of backgrounds. So definitely, as time is approaching, CAT is becoming a more holistic exam rather than being just a playfield where engineers dominate. So and you even see that in many different colleges, including many of the IIMs, the weightage given to the VARC section is somehow more than given to Quant or the DILR section. And the DILR and the Quant section, I believe that they have now trimmed it down to a level that a 10th class student who has done some pretty much basic maths can also attempt the DILR section and can score well. Actually, it's not that he can attempt 34 out of 34, but he can still secure some pretty good marks in that. DILR section, I believe, is something which tests the logical ability of a person. So that can be an engineer, or it can be a person studying, it's going for a literature course. It hardly matters because it's your ability to comprehend those puzzles. Now, Sudoku, which comes in the newspaper, a literature student and an engineer or a medical student can equally do that. So that's not the case in DILR and VARC. Given the increasing emphasis on VARC, I believe that now everyone stands a pretty good chance in clearing and getting a good percentile. As a matter of fact, it's just that you need to have the right combination of hard work and smart work, and your intelligence. Firstly, to students who are giving CAT 21, I have to say that I know the times are pretty uncertain, and you are yourself not sure whether the exam will be a 2 hour long exam or a 3 hour long exam. So, having said that, I believe that the most important thing right now is to not give up and be regular. So, what happens is that even when I was preparing, what happens that people, after say, giving 2 3 days, they tend to take a week off because they are tired, and you are staying at the home, you're not going outside, you're not socializing, so it just builds up upon you. So rather than that, what you should do is give daily some time. So people study 9 hours daily, that's not at all required. CAT is not an labor intensive exam. That has to be made very clear. So if 5 months are remaining, chalk out your strategies well. So if you have subscribed to any of the test series or any of the coaching centers, you'll get the schedule of the tests which are there. So plan accordingly. Just take a deep breath right now. Just pause for 1 second and plan that at when you have to give a sectional, like how many sectionals you think you are comfortable with by giving in a week. And because see, every sectional, every test, whether it be a mock test, proctored, unproctored test, you have to give that, and you have to spend an equal amount, at least an equal amount of time analyzing that test, and that's the most important thing to do. So just make a schedule so that you are doing it easily, because the see, I'm pretty sure there is a lot of grimness around this situation which is there. Don't let that get to you, and just focus and work smart, not hard. So that's the entire thing that I've said again and again, that working smart is more important than working hard. So just focus on that, and I think if you just be true to yourself, you'll easily ace the exam. As a person, I honestly like to study different kinds of things. So, for example, I developed a hobby of studying about anthropology. I used to read books on that, and I like to study about polity, history, and different kinds of things. So basically last year I, along with some of my friends, have even founded an NGO. So I used to have some work for that also, and I like to sing, I like to play guitar. And you know what, the most important thing that I found was to spend time with my family, because they are the only people who get you properly, and some close friends that you have. So spend time with them, talk with them, be open to them about if you're say you are feeling frustrated because, for example, you did not perform well in an exam, in a mock test, then just be open. Because you, and when you think that you are full, then just take a couple of days off, just relax. If you like reading the book, go ahead and do that. If you like watching the online series, just binge watch it and complete it entirely in the next 2 days, but don't study in those 2 days. And say, for example, if you are in a job right now and you are preparing for CAT as well as you're going with your job, I think you can easily do that if you just find the correct balance in between that. And even if you do not prepare for a couple of days, no heavens will fall, because this, as I said it again, that it's not a exam which test that you have worked 13 hours a day or 14 hours a day, like our 12th exams, like JEE, NEET used to test us. So it's a pretty different thing. So what I believe is that the most important thing in IIM interviews is that you need to be true to yourself. So if you try to bluff in the interview, see, they are generally professors and sometimes they're alumni. They have interacted with students like us on a daily, they interact with thousands of students till date, and they interact with us on a daily basis. So if you try to bluff with them that you will claim something, and that is something that you've not done, you will not, they will easily catch that, and then they are going to grill you on that. So what I believe is that be very faithful and true to what you have done. And if you do not know anything, it's fine to agree, just accept that. Just tell them very politely that I do not know that, because they, honesty is always appreciated, rather than just going beating around the bush and trying to go around in circles and circles. That is something that has to be avoided. My experience, so I got I got 5 calls basically: Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Indore, Shillong, and FMS. And I, except for Ahmedabad, I converted all of the rest calls. So what was the common factor in all the interviews, which I believe is that I was always true to myself. That yes, that if I'm claiming this, that I've worked in, for example, I've worked in some XYZ company and I've done this job and I've done this project, then I would be knowing about that project and the work that I have done. If they would ask me something which I have not done, then I'll be honest and tell them that I have not done that and I don't know much about that. But still, if they want, I would love to venture a guess. That's the entire thing. Like, just be honest. That's the, like, to sum up every single interview that I've given, you have to be honest. When I researched more and I looked at the initiative that they're providing quality education at low and affordable prices, and in times like these when many people are losing their jobs, where there is a financial crunch faced by many families, I think that's a noble initiative more than anything else. So because I believe that coaching only has a limited role to play when it comes to students. It's the students' motivation. But when you're providing them with quality coaching, you're motivating them. And that's something that no very few coachings are able to do that. So motivation is something, and I'm pretty sure that the EduShastra team is doing a fine job at that also.